Hello everybody, I'm Uplifting Ducks and thank you for joining me as we continue a team-by-team preview of the 2022 World Cup. And today, no less, we're looking at a nation that's been investing heavily in their own domestic Major League Soccer. It is, of course, the United States of America. You can catch my other team previews and analysis on the channel. And if you'd be so kind as to drop a like and a subscribe, that would certainly make you a World Cup legend. So let's dive in and have a little look at the US. The US, of course, consists of 50 states, which are like their own countries and culture in their own right. I tried to pick out a couple of interesting facts for you that are obscure. So here we go. Number 1. The American flag was actually designed by a 17-year-old for a school project. Number 2. In Oregon, they actually have a city called Boring, which is very harsh indeed. And finally, number 3. Kentucky actually has more bourbon than it has people. So drink up in Kentucky, because they're 150 to 1 here to win the World Cup. Get a pound on. The Americans have been involved in the World Cup since the very beginning, including that inaugural tournament way back in 1930, which was of course won by Uruguay. Football, or soccer as it's known in the States, has been a slow grower on the public. It's largely down to the popularity and competition of American football, basketball, baseball and ice hockey. The US Major League Soccer has been developing year on year, with a view to making it a more competitive league and less of a retirement home for old European footballers. Now there's more of a mix in recent seasons and the conferences have been expanding, including a lot of foreign youth talent as well as domestic, with both the Eastern and Western conferences getting bigger each year. Of course, this is all part for the national team of the big build towards the 2026 World Cup, which they will be co-hosting with Mexico and Canada, as the tournament returns to the North American region. In charge of the team is long-term head coach Gregg Berhalter, who as well as 56 games in charge under his belt heading into the tournament, he also has 44 international caps as a player. He's come under scrutiny in recent matches, with performances not matching, in the eyes of the fans, the standards and the expectations of the team and their qualities. In particular, 2-0 loss to Japan most recently highlighted the American struggle in playing against a team with a high-pressing system. They've struggled to create chances, that's something that Berhalter has linked to confidence more than anything else. Now he does have successes in recent tournaments, the CONCACAF Nations League in the 2019-20 season and the CONCACAF Gold Cup to fall back on as his successes in recent history. Although the consensus is that a poor showing in this World Cup might lead to a parting of ways following the tournament. In qualifying, it went right to the wire for the US national team, as the Americans had to pull out 7 points in their 3 penultimate games to make sure that they qualified before they were beaten in their final match by Costa Rica, who themselves also earned passage to Qatar via the playoff route. The expectancy pre-qualification was they would resume their usual battle in this section with Mexico, who of course remained strong, but Canada really took the group by surprise, with an impressive showing from their hungry team. Overall, USA did enough to make the final 32 for the World Cup, and it's not how you get there, it's what you do once you're there that counts. The Americans actually held the perfect record against teams 4th or below in the qualifying table. That included Costa Rica, Panama, Jamaica, El Salvador and Honduras. It was Canada that provided the most trouble for USA, as they suffered a 2-0 defeat away from home, as well as failing to beat them in their home match, with Mexico away from home the only other team that stops USA picking up 3 points. Outside of the qualifying section, the Americans have actually failed to win a single game away from home all year, which is very worrying heading into Qatar, how difficult that they're finding things on their travels. Now, looking at the most likely lineup the Americans are going to start with in Qatar. Now, Berhalter's been opting for a consistent formation throughout the year with this 4-1-4-1 style, utilising the strength in their midfield positions. So in goal, they are likely to line up with the new Arsenal signing, Matt Turner, who broke into the US national team while playing at New England Revolution. He's expected to be the man between the posts this winter. Serginho Dest is a well-known right-back amongst European viewers. He's currently on loan at AC Milan but has spent multiple seasons, of course, at Barcelona. Centre-backs Walker Zimmerman and Miles Robinson paired most often together at centre-back, but Aaron Long, currently playing at New York Red Bulls, has also featured. While Anthony Robinson, Fulham's left-back, has been a shoo-in so far for the Americans and expected to start on that left-hand side. In midfield, expect to see Tyler Adams at the base, with Weston McKennie, currently at Juventus, paired with multiple options in the centre midfield positions, one of which is Yunus Musa, one of the young guns, more on him coming up later, or Luca Della Torre. Kellyn Acosta also has an option to play deeper or further forward. In the right wing kind of position, Timothy Weir has played most often, with Christian Pulisic on the left-hand side. Now, Pulisic hasn't been getting that much game time for Chelsea, which will also be a worry for the US team. While up front is looking like a straight shootout between Ricardo Pepi, currently playing in the Netherlands, or Jesus Ferreira, who's had a very impressive scoring season with Dallas. But I think that the formation in particular is certainly one that they're going to stick with. Weston McKennie is a name that is known well amongst European football, having played in both the Bundesliga and Serie A. He currently plays his football for Juventus and is a versatile midfielder who can play a number of roles. What I'm sharing with you here are the attributes from the player profile in Football Manager. Now, the ones that you can see in bold refer to a player's preferred position and therefore are given a little bit more special importance to whether that player is capable to carry out that role. McKennie shows his excellent engine and stamina with 18 and 17 respectively out of 20, while an aggressive and brave midfielder with a strong tackling capability. But he can also offer an attacking threat, shared with his 14 finishing as well as the 9 goals that he scored in 37 games for the national team. Yunus Musa is an exciting talent, currently playing his football in Spain for Valencia. Musa boasts power, sprinter's pace and electrifying dribbling. He's taken his inspiration from N'Golo Kante, Paul Pogba and Christian Pulisic. He's also reportedly interested in Barcelona, and Gareth Southgate tried to persuade him to remain part of England's setup, having played 30 caps at youth level. Stopping him is a big problem for any team, says Berhalter. He's constantly driving at defences. He's so fast, agile, mobile and keeps the ball close to his feet. It doesn't quite translate on Football Manager, but certainly the buzz in the American media is that this kid is for real. We will see at just 19 whether this tournament is the one where he announces himself to world football. Ricardo Pepi, who elected to pursue representing USA over Mexico, joined Augsburg in January. He's now on loan at Groningen in the Dutch league, wearing the number 9 jersey once worn by a certain Luis Suarez. But it's another legendary Qatar-bound striker, by whom former US international Heath Pearce elected to compare the boy wonder. He says Ricardo Pepi is probably the best natural finisher that the US has ever had. When you watch Pepi score, his goals are similar to Lewandowski. He scores in every single way from everywhere on the pitch. Very high praise indeed. At just 19, he's made the switch to European football. He's not a guaranteed starter for this US national team, but expect him to feature heavily if they're looking to chase goals. Now, moving on to the matches in the tournament, they open with Wales, which will be very interesting. Currently, the odds are undecided on who is most likely on paper to join England in the knockout stages. The Welsh have been waiting such a long time for this tournament and will be a feisty opposition in Game 1. Then it's the crunch match with the English. They do boast a good performance record against England at the World Cup, but with the English talent on show, that is certainly one to be concerned about for the US. Finally, that match with Iran I just feel could be very crucial as to who qualifies. It's going to be tight, I think, between the Welsh and the Americans, but if Iran have picked something up in those early games, they could well make things difficult on final day against the Americans. Now it's prediction time, and this one is quite a difficult one, I think, to call. So we look at where they could finish. It's a tough group to get out of. I just can't underestimate what Wales will turn up in this one. I look at their first European Championships that they made in quite a period of time a few years back, and the fever pitch that came with that from them was very, very hot indeed. The concerns over the head coach at the US is set up as still. The concerns over the head coach and the setup for the US are still there. This feels like this tournament could be a potential big stepping stone onto the big one for them in 2026 when they're hosting. They're certainly capable, however, of qualifying, and whether they do or not remains to be seen. I think it will be tight. They'll just get pipped by Wales. And with that, I thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you're interested in more of the videos on the World Cup or other stuff on the channel, please do check it out. It would be much appreciated. But for now, I hope to see you soon.